Happy Wednesday and welcome to another episode of the SoFLo Sports Show. It's your host, 305 Sports Babe, and I'm joined by co-host Lou from Dade. It is a rainy night in Miami, but it has been an awesome week down here as a whole. We just finished up the World Baseball Classic. The championship was held here in Miami last night, so we're going to get into that, talk a little bit about Dolphin news. Jaylen Waddle gets traded to the Broncos, and then, of course, we're on the eve of March Madness, all the games tomorrow, which some starting today. But tomorrow we have a full slate of games, obviously going into Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and more.
Yeah, it's been a very gloomy couple of days here in South Florida. It's been raining nonstop. It feels like it's been raining all day and even yesterday as well. So kind of gloomy down here. It's a perfect day to stay inside and watch all college basketball, which I will be doing tomorrow and Friday as well. So,
Same here. I will be as well.
Great time of the year. And, it's really a lot going on, but this time we really need it.
Yeah. So John in the house from Jersey. John, it's a little cold front going down here. So I can just imagine the cold up in Jersey, and our buddy Miami Mike from the West Coast. Hello to you. So thank you guys for joining us tonight. All right. So where do we begin?
Well, let's start with, I know you want to talk about the main topic, but let's start get a pulse of our South Florida sports teams.
Yeah.
The Panthers, well, not so good. The two-time defending champions who have been to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. It looks like that run's coming to an end. They are not officially eliminated yet. However, it's just a matter of time right now. They are 33-31, but they are 13 points back of the last wild card spot. And, while not mathematically eliminated yet, it's all but a sure thing. They've already started to rest certain players here and there, as they should, because they've been playing nonstop hockey for 3 straight seasons, and they can sure as heck use a break, recoup. The team is signed for a long time. All the stars on this team are signed through 2029, some even through 2030. So it's one of these things where they just have to, take it on the chin this year. A lot of injuries affected the whole season, and be back and fully loaded to go next year.
Adam jumped in and said it's cold here too. Nothing colder than Aaron Judge's bat. Adam, stay tuned because I have so much to say about Aaron Judge, man. You saw it in his face. The way he just froze up there at that when you needed him to come through the most, it sucked.
Captain America was like more like Captain Antarctica because he was cold all through the tournament.
It was rough. Big sis Lisa in the house. Hey there, Ashley. I know the Panthers don't have a good year. Neither is the New York Rangers. We had, like the song goes, thanks for the memories. We've had a great 2-year run, back-to-back Stanley Cup champion runs with the Florida Panthers. And then we even got a little bonus because USA men's hockey won the gold in Italy this year at the Olympics. So I'm okay. I feel like we won 3 with 2 Stanley Cups and the gold. So if we have to pass on the reins this year to anybody but a Canadian team, I'm okay.
Yeah, that's right. And Matthew Tkachuk, by the way, even though the Panthers are not likely to make the playoffs at this point, I must admit, but Tkachuk won the gold medal, as you mentioned. So he technically has had 3 consecutive winning seasons where he's won it all in some capacity. So that's something that he can always brag about down there in the locker room.
Johnny says, too many guys trying to hit the long ball. You win games by manufactured runs. Adam says, it's every big spot and huge game. He tenses up and he's like begging for a walk, Captain May. No,
yes.
It's we were lucky to see USA, Dominican Republic, and USA kind of like the underdogs given DR's lineup was able to pull that win out to land their spot in the finals. And we're going to talk about that soon in our experience at the WBC. This is actually our second time going. We went a few years ago, and it was a little different this year.
It was.
Personally,
yeah,
I think so.
But still a great event, tremendous tournament. Yeah. I'm already jonesing for the next one, which we'll talk about that as far as when the next one's going to be. It hasn't been announced yet, and it's we'll talk about it in a second. But the other topic I want to talk about South Florida sports-wise is the Miami Heat. Obviously, huge buzz last week with Bam Adebayo's
83 points,
record-setting 83-point game. He moved all up the charts, surpassed everybody but Wilt Chamberlain and his infamous 100-point game, which nobody's really seen unless you were in the building because there's no footage of it. So Bam has a mark for games that have actually been documented. You could see footage of. But, no, tremendous week, obviously. He was named Player of the Week. Duh, of course he was. And you put out some great context, some great videos. Yeah. So as soon as you're done watching this episode, check out Ashley's video of Bam Adebayo, what the Heat did for him. in the very next game after that. But yeah, the Heat had a great week last week. They were 38-31. They're 38-31 in the season. We're riding a 7-game win streak to get out of the play-in game, but unfortunately, 2 losses in a row to the Magic, the state rival Magic, and then the Charlotte Hornets last night. They got blown out in that game. They are now back as a 7th seed, and as it stands right now, they would be in the play-in tournament, which all Miami Heat fans are trying to avoid. You don't want to, try to earn your way in. You want to secure your spot and have the best possible matchup. And the Heat right now are not in a good spot.
Big Sis Lisa dropped a question for me. She said, okay, Ashley, with your favorite sport being baseball, getting ready to start the season, what team do you think is going to surprise the experts this year? I'm very biased. I'm very, very biased, right? And obviously one may want to say the Dodgers or even the Yankees might resurrect.
No, Dodgers wouldn't be a surprise.
I'm just saying that's what the experts would say. The experts would say.
Everybody would say the Dodgers.
She asked about the experts. So for me, I got to stick with the Marlins, right? And I am such a firm, strong believer of the Marlins. I love Peter Bendix. I love our coaching. I love our pitching. I love our team. There's some players last year like Griffin Conine. That's Jeff Conine's son, the great Jeff Conine. His son, Griffin, is actually didn't play last year for the Marlins. He was injured, and he's coming back this year. Then we had like 7 guys alone who played in the World Baseball Classic representing their countries. DR, Italy with Jacob Marcy. We had Canada. So our players, obviously they missed out a little bit on spring training, but they were so well equipped during the World Baseball Classic. And Marlins are just one of those teams. We had a great July last year. Actually, we were the hottest team in the MLB last year in July. So I'm answering with my head, but also my heart. I believe it is the Miami Marlins. We're going to go for a great run this year. Yeah,
I'm excited. The season starts next Friday, so 10 days.
Adam, I'm going to just show you this. I'm going to show. Are you just going to ignore the $175 million? Nah, we got that ready for you. So stay tuned because we're going to dissect it, but we're not going to forget about that. That's definitely the elephant in the room, but it's coming up more. Okay, so but just piggybacking last what you said about Bam, we were at the game right after he scored 83 against the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Kaseya Center and the Heat did a great job. I mean, given quick notice to celebrate Bam, they had signage around inside and outside the Kaseya Center. His 83 jerseys were $83. They went by so quick at the Kaseya Center in the Heat store, so you had to grab them if you wanted them. Then also they had a meal for $8.30. It was like chicken nuggets and stuff. So given the 2-game turnaround, the Heat and the Kaseya Center did a pretty good job honoring Bam, and I'm sure this will continue on for the rest of the season.
I have a feeling this is a game that's going to be talked about for forever, pretty much. You put up 83 points, and a lot of people, we talked about in last week's show where, it was against the Wizards. BS, okay? If anybody could score 83 points, they would have done it, but there are only 3 players that have scored 80s. Obviously, Kobe, Bam, and Will Chamberlain. Yes. So this is going to be an accomplishment talked about for a long, long time. I'm sure the Heat are not done marketing this and squeezing every bit of juice out of it as they can, and they should. Bam also has 2 banners up already. You mentioned it in your video. He's a 2-time gold medalist, so he's got 2 banners with his name on it and the Olympic logo on it. So this most recent one 2 years ago was in Paris, and before that, I believe it was Spain. The most recent Olympics was in Paris, the Summer Olympics. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure they're going to do more big things for Bam, and he deserves it. He's a team captain. He's a gamer. And we just wish he was on a better team because right now he deserves better than being in that play-in tournament. Yeah,
we had Tim Reynolds on the show just a few weeks ago, and you asked him a great question saying, would the Heat consider maybe a statue outside the Kaseya Center like they have for Dwayne Wade? And Tim Reynolds said he doesn't really see that. He sees them taking more of the Yankee Stadium approach, like a Memorial Park, Monument Park. So it would be interesting to see what the Heat and the Kaseya Center continue to do to honor Bam's 83-point game and his legacy as a whole.
Yeah, and we'll be in Yankee Stadium in a couple of weeks for the home opener there. As you mentioned, the Marlins are playing. You got family in New York, so we're going back to New York, spend some time there, and we will be at opening day in Yankee Stadium. So I'm looking forward to seeing those monuments, the Monument Park that you just mentioned, the facade, the famous facade, and just be living in the glory of opening day at Yankee Stadium. It's pretty cool.
So, Johnny, I need you to really warm it up there because 33 degrees ain't going to cut it in 2 weeks. So do some magic and make it happen.
That's right.
All right. So Man, there's a lot to talk about. I'm still mostly hyped about the World Baseball Classic. As Marlins season ticket holders, we were able to buy the full 15-game strip for all the Miami games months ago. Months ago, and we didn't even double think about it. We knew that that's what we were going to do, and it was
we did it last time as well in 2023. It's a tremendous opportunity. You got the group play.
Yeah.
This year they did it all. Miami had every round. The previous year was group play, semis, and the championship. But this time around was the group, the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and of course last night's championship game.
So let's jump into that. So let's pull that up here. All right, guys. So you know how the story ended. Venezuela did end up beating USA last night to be the 2026 World Baseball Classic champs. These are the different pools that we've had. We had
this is the quarterfinals. But there was 4 pools.
Yes.
In Tokyo, Japan. You had the second pool in San Juan, Puerto Rico, Miami, Florida, of course, and then Houston, Texas.
Yeah. So these are who advanced to the quarter. You can. This is the picture. So actually, I'll bring up my picture because this one's a little small. So before
that's what she said.
Here, let me put up the other picture I had.
So basically you had those 4 pools, 5 teams per pool, and so 20 total.
Perfect. So this is what Lou's picture just had the flag. So as long as you can kind of go with the acronyms, it's pretty much the same picture. So the teams that made to the quarterfinals, you had Dominican Republic, Korea, USA, Canada, which I will tell you, this matchup kind of made me nervous because, as mentioned before, we defeated the Canadians in men's and women's hockey.
Right.
And I'm like, these Canadians are really going to retaliate against us and beat us in America's greatest pastime sport. But obviously that did not happen. We ended up beating the Canadians 5-3. In Houston. And on the other side, Italy ended up beating Puerto Rico, which was a shocker. Italy was this dream team made up of these Italian Americans, and they defeated Puerto Rico, who's such a big powerhouse of baseball. And then last was Venezuela, who defeated Japan. And needless to say, Japan, another powerhouse baseball team as well. So with all that, the semifinals were USA and Dominican Republic on Sunday. We were there. People asked, right? So I just want to take this down for a second. People asked me, they're like, Ash, was the atmosphere like a World Series? And I've been to a lot of sporting events. I've been to Stanley Cups and I've been to Super Bowls, not Dolphins, but I've been to Super Bowls. And I've been to a lot. And you have actually been to World Series. So I have never been in a World Series, but I can honestly tell you, if that is anything like a Game 7 World Series, it was electrifying. Do you think, like I said, you have been to World Series. Was it anything like a World Series, or is that kind of like,
So it's a little different because obviously they're going for the country and the pride, and obviously specifically the countries that like Puerto Rico and you got the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Mexico, all those countries that have players there. They're on a different level in terms of bringing in noisemakers into the stadium.
Wild. Their
passion for the sport. You got to remember. These, they're growing up in those countries. They're not playing with baseball gloves and bats. Yeah. They're playing with a milk carton that they turn into a glove. And, instead of, if they don't have a bat, they get a branch from a tree and swing that around. So anything they can get their hands on, they use to play the game. And so it's embedded in them from when they're a child, and all that passion comes out when you're watching this World Baseball Classic. So it's a completely different level. For me, I'm very prideful to be, an American, and obviously was Team USA all day. But I think you separate the two things, and you got to take it for what it is. It's a tournament.
Yeah.
It's a tournament that goes over 2.5 weeks. That's one thing. The grind of a major league season that starts in spring training for a month and a half, and then 162 games, then multiple playoff series, and then potentially a 7-game World Series. To me, there's nothing like that, and I get what these guys say that it means more to them. They get the gold medal, we don't as fans. But I'll tell you right now, we'd be at Game 7 of the World Series if the Marlins were in it. It's too much. You're invested in too much. It's too long, as opposed to this, which was a tournament over 2.5 weeks.
So one thing I do want to mention, Derek Jeter, which, Adam, your buddy over there, Derek Jeter, he was asked last night in the pregame, Jeter, when people are saying it's like a World Series, what do you say? And Jeter straight up said, guys who have never been in a World Series are the ones saying that. And I was like, Okay, so Jeter, Mr. Mini World Series and MVP, and obviously played in the World Baseball Classic representing America. He's seen both sides. He's played in the World Series, he's won the World Series, and he's represented Team USA, obviously many All-Star games in between. Yeah. And he straight up said, like, hey, this is nothing like it. It's not the World Series, guys. If you played the World Series, you would know. So Captain Jeter shut us down.
Yeah, and it's one game, too. And baseball's not a one. I mean, it's great. It's great theater. The knockout stage, Italy, obviously, you mentioned it, was a story of the tournament. They were undefeated going into the semifinal and got knocked off by the eventual champions, Venezuela. But, baseball is not a sport for knockout like football or even what we're about to see starting tomorrow in March Madness. The one game at a time, surviving advance. Baseball's not meant for that. It's meant for the long haul, the grind of the season, and to play out these series with your best pitchers. All credit to Venezuela, but if you do a 7-game or even a 3-game series with the Americans, I think USA comes out on top because overall they got the pitching depth.
Yeah, so just going a little bit more back on the WBC. Early on, I was Team DR. Half that lineup, some of my favorite players. Sandy Alcantara, who is my favorite player in the league, pitched for DR. And then Augustine Ramirez was the catcher behind Austin Wells. And Austin Wells was like the honorary Dominican because his mom, Michelle Fernandez, is Dominican descent. So he became Dominicanized. Right. And offensively and defensively, Austin Wells did a great job. So unfortunately for Augie Ramirez didn't see much time in WBC. But then it's just so hard to go against guys like Machado, Soto, J-Rod, Caminero, Gladdy. So I was very fortunate to see DR play 3 times down here. They won the first 2. Obviously, those were in the first earlier round. And then the third time I saw them was against US, where they couldn't hold off US. But that game, I was Team USA. I was all DR before, but I'm like, I cannot go against my country. So,
and the story of that game was the Americans shutting down that vaunted Dominican Republic lineup. And you talk about Tatis Jr. at the top. You got Vladimir Guerrero, Manny Machado, Caminero, which hit a ball that I don't think has landed yet. At one of the games that we saw against Netherlands.
J-Rod.
Juan Soto, Leo Rodriguez. I mean, just an unbelievable lineup from top to bottom.
And then coached by Albert Pujols. Like, let's just time out right there. Albert Pujols, great Cardinals, many, many years, who eventually will get a job coaching in the MLB. Something's going to open for him. So that was great. Just want to share just 2 videos with you guys, just kind of what we saw and felt inside the stadium. We were very fortunate to have great seats. It was actually, sometimes I almost pinched him like this is really happening. So
yeah, we got a great, our Marlins rep is fantastic. And because of the fact that, let's be real, the Marlins don't sell out the stadium. So if you are a season ticket holder, you were offered the best possible tickets available, and we were able to get them.
I was able to grab seats early on. So here is, I think it was Dominican Republic and Netherlands. And one of my favorite things was when DR hit home runs. Their celebrations were wild. So I just want to share this one here.
Look at the goals in that.
Here. There's like the Dominican jacket.
You missed the top flip here, which I think hit the top of those.
Going on.
Hit the top of those people on the roof there.
So that another big moment was when USA ended up beating DR, punching your ticket to the final. So this was this year. USA just beat DR. It was night. It was late. It was 11:30. High fives
and you notice the difference between the celebration, the U.S. Taking the mild manner approach, while the Dominicans were, and look,
they're wild.
They're playing like if they were playing Little League, and they were all under glory, enjoying it. So.
Another thing, Lou likes to dress up, right? He's a man, he's a colorful man. And so, and as we were heading to this game, Lou said, Ash, you're not wearing any of your DR stuff. I said, fine, not, it's USA. So I wear my blue and my red, right? Americanized. But yet he's in the room getting dressed. And all of a sudden, you guys haven't seen, he knew it. Russ knew it. Macho Man. So you can see the lovely 305 Sports Babe in the Jumbotron, and next to me, Macho Man Randy Savage.
You're welcome for getting you on the.
Oh,
on the big
like I wouldn't have gotten on the Jumbotron without you.
The camera obviously gravitated towards the Macho Man.
I'm sure.
Macho Man, oh yeah, back in the big tree, back in the big time again.
Not the only blonde in the game. Okay, so we did make the Jumbotron. So it was a wonderful time, guys. Like I don't know. You made a good point when you kind of said, like, hey, we don't know if Miami's going to end up getting the championship again. Obviously, they'll probably have games in the future, but with the Olympics coming up, it's going to be interesting to see how WBC moves on from this point. Another thing with that is that there's also, I saw that people want to get rid of spring training and just do WBC. It would be such a hassle to do every year.
I disagree with that. What makes it special is just like the Olympics. You get it 3 or every 4 years. The tournament started every 4 years, and then they moved it to 3 because of to get ahead of the Olympics. And then COVID messed things up, and so made it a 3-year tournament. But now with the Olympics coming back again in 2028, it wouldn't make sense to do this again in 3 years, which would be 2029.
Yeah.
They want to actually go back to the 4-year system, which makes sense because this is the emotions run so high for this tournament. If you do it in back-to-back years, and as you just mentioned, do it every spring training, it loses its luster. Yeah. You want to build up to this, and you want the teams to
that's what Adam's saying. He likes it. It's a space in the build.
To play, knowing that, man, it took us 3 years ago. Like we were there 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. We saw, ironically enough, the same score. The Americans lost 3-2. 3-2, and we saw Shohei Ohtani strike out his then teammate, Mike Trout, with the Angels, and that was 3 years ago. Now, Ohtani's been in the Dodgers for the past 2 years, so you want that buildup. You want the teams to want to play for their country and to be on the ultimate stage, but it needs to be spread out so you can really appreciate it. So, yeah.
So closing up of the World Baseball Classic, so you guys know USA, Dominican Republic. On the other side, Venezuela and Italy, which – I don't know about you, but I really wanted those dang Italians to win. Myself being Italian-American, like it was just so cool. Adam mentioned before the espresso machine and playing Andrea Bocelli at the end. Like it was the team, like Jorge Posada was one of the coaches. Like it was such a cool story. But unfortunately, the Venezuelans did take down the Italians on Monday, and Venezuela punched their ticket to end up playing in the finals, which was 2 days ago. I almost said last night, which was 2 days ago.
It was last night.
Was it?
Yeah, the final was last night.
The week is like all messed up, which was last night. I do. So here are the Venezuelans cheering them on. I mean, it's hard not to like these guys. Gleyber Torres, one of my other favorite players in the league. Luis Arraez, even bigger than that, who we just love and loved in Miami.
Yeah, and these are all, I mean, another stacked team. Not as stacked as the Dominican, but you got Ronald Acuna Jr., who's one of the best players in baseball. He's, the leadoff man on that team, plays a tremendous outfield as well. Michael Garcia, who really was a breakout star in this tournament with the Kansas City Royals. He was named the MVP of the World Baseball Classic. Obviously, Luis Arraez, who plays for the Giants and was a one-time Marlin. A 3-time batting champ is Luis Arraez. Eugenio Suarez, who is now back with the Cincinnati Reds, had 45 home runs, I think, last year. Where does he stand on the all-time list? Well, he's number 3 on the all-time list with Venezuelans with home runs in the major leagues. Number 1, Miguel Cabrera, one of the best to ever do it. And number 2, Andres Galarraga, who hit some towering monster home runs. So you got the number 3 Venezuelan home run leader in Major League Baseball. That's a big deal. Andres Jimenez from the Toronto Blue Jays. He was just in the World Series. Salvador Perez, the catcher for the Royals, Kansas City Royals, who's been a World Series champion. And then pitching-wise, you saw what Eduardo Rodriguez did last night. He's a former World Series winner as well. And Ranger Suarez, who's played in the World Series with the Pittsburgh, with the Phillies, who is now with the Red Sox. But a lot of experience on that Venezuelan team. They are stacked lineup as well. And again, congratulations to them. Yes,
Sheldon in the house. Hey there. Hey, bestie. Welcome in. Closing up World Baseball Classic, I knew I was going to love it going into it. I fell more in love with it in the moment, and now I'm just infatuated with it. It's like an all-star game, right? And then you have the passion of the players representing their countries. I got to see players like Ozzy Albies, who, played for the Netherlands. Dusty Baker, who coached the Nicaraguans, right? And then the whole Dominican team, like mentioned before, J-Rod is one of my favorite players in the league. Got to see him numerous times here. And then just see Vladimir Guerrero and the dingers, the home runs that this man hits, the power. And then, of course, seeing the American team, Schwarber and Aaron Judge and all those guys. So
Bryce Harper hit
as well.
Monster tying game home run last night. Unfortunately, was not able to deliver after that. At least the rest of the team wasn't. But yeah, some big time players hitting big time event, and we can't wait for the next one. We don't know if it's going to be 2029 or 2030. They haven't announced that yet. They're going to bask in this glory for a while, but we will definitely be back whenever it's there because it's a tremendous event. You ever have a chance to go on and watch it? So highly recommended.
Some of the tickets went for $7. Some of the tickets went for like $700. So play your card right or try to get the full script.
Yeah, and you also mentioned, so again, it's five teams, five countries per group. The top 4 in every group automatically advance to the next WBC. The final 4, the final standing team that did not finish above 4th place, they have to qualify. So everybody who was in it and finished in the top 4 in their respective group, they are automatically qualified for the next one. So you already know there's going to be some great competition.
Nicaragua, I don't think you're going to make it. Nicaragua never won
Nicaragua did not win a game, so they finished last.
Shout out to Eddie.
Well, they have to requalify. They have to qualify over again. So we'll see.
Okay, guys. As a reminder, opening day, happy early opening day to all those who celebrate, which are all of us. The Marlins open up next Friday. The game was originally slated for Thursday. It was a Thursday, like 4:00 game. And then a few weeks later, we found out that the Marlins actually moved this game to Friday. So it's a Friday night game. And what they're going to do is they want to open the roof and have the fireworks. So we'll be excited to see the Marlins. We don't miss opening day. However, this year may be a little tricky for me, but we're going to talk about that a little later because somebody may be in March Madness. Hopefully. But we look forward to opening day, as I'm sure all of you guys, whether you support the Phillies, the Yankees, or everybody in between,
it's a
there's
tradition.
nothing like it.
Yeah, it's nothing like it at all. So
ironically enough, I just want to highlight, we're going to be at 3 opening day this year.
Yeah.
No?
So I want to highlight Russ's comment here. So it looks like his niece won back-to-back state titles.
Okay.
So congratulations, Russ. That's awesome.
All
Shout
right.
out to your niece.
Very nice.
But yeah, looking forward to opening day. There's nothing like it. You enter the ballpark. You go down the tunnel, you see that grass, you see the players.
Amazing.
It's just a tremendous setup. We can't wait for it.
Okay, so before we switch to Dolphin news, because
Dolphin news first.
No, I just want to talk about Ian first, real quick. Guys, just a reminder, we have the Big Love for Big E Jason Taylor raffle going on. We did a Richmond Webb signed jersey last month, and now we have an opportunity for you to win a Jason Taylor football, signed Hall of Fame football, and a very rare Jason Taylor bobblehead. All money goes to support Ian's family vacation that they're going to be taking this June. They're going on an Alaskan cruise. As you guys know, we mentioned before, Ian is battling cancer for the 2nd time with a bad liver. So it's a double whammy, and his family's looking forward to going on a great Alaskan trip this summer, and we want to help support him and his family. So guys, get your raffle tickets. This raffle is going to be drawn on April 15th, which you better know that day because that's tax day. So as you finish up your taxes, jump on that show and see who's winner. But more importantly, support if you can.
You say it's tax day. I remember that because April 15th, you could always get a Big Mac for a regular price, and then you could get the second one for 1 penny.
I didn't know that.
Always on April 15th. Don't ask me how I know.
I could just imagine how you know. All right, guys. So be sure, please, if you can, Jackie Robinson Day as well.
And Jackie Robinson Day, of course, as well. Yes.
Okay, so the Miami Dolphins, this has been a very, very, very interesting offseason. And in the sense that I've been a fan since 2008. You've been a fan since pretty much 1901. Just kidding, 1966 is when they started. But you've been a fan for a lot longer than I have. I have never seen anything like this in the offseason. Obviously, this all started midway through the season when we got rid of Chris Greer, then the McDaniel, but at this point, we're just flushing house, right? This is a true, okay, so I want to highlight it right there, right? So there's either 2 things going on, and I have a poll because I kind of want to know your opinion. So I'm going to pull up this poll. I've never done a poll before.
So bear with us. I didn't know you were doing this.
I want to know, because this is the big question going on. Is this a rebuild season or is this a full tank season? So I'm going to go ahead and put this up here. And I want to know what they want to say. I'm curious to see what they say. So guys, if you could go ahead and vote in here. Johnny says it's a true rebuild. Okay.
All right, so the poll's up. So cast your vote. Let us know what you think is going to happen there. If you think it's a rebuild or a tank, you going to give your opinion or?
Yeah, so I personally think that this is a rebuild, right? It's so hard for me to believe that any team would just tank it all together and just say, that's it, it's over, da-da-da. I think this is a rebuild, and we have to trust the process. We knew that John Eric Sullivan and Coach Hafley weren't necessarily going to keep what we had here. It's a new boss, new CEO. That's what anybody does when they go into a new, company. They want their own. They want to create. They don't want to deal with the mess that they were left. So I truly believe that this is a rebuild. I don't think we're tanking, and we just kind of got to see the process.
Yeah, and I think this question. And I appreciate the poll, but I think this is more like for Twitter fodder, if you will, or X fodder, that people want to make it seem like, oh, we're getting rid of everybody, the sky's falling. And I don't think that's the case. They wouldn't have signed a free agent, quarterback if that was the situation here. So you got a total change in leadership, and those leaders that have come in now are picking their players and disassociating themselves, as they did with Tua, with the players that have not been productive and the players that have not held their end of the bargain. Also, if you had a bad rap and you were on the roster, you're likely out. I'm not saying that's Waddle's case. That's definitely not Waddle's case from everything we've heard, at least. But, these are the guys that are in charge now, and they're changing up the team to their liking. And so far, I like what they did. And as much as I love Waddle, I think it was a right move to trade him. I said it countless times on the show that he should have been traded, because of the fact that he doesn't fit with the system that we're putting into place. He's going to make a lot more money next year and cost a lot more against the cap. This was a year to move on from him, and I think it was a great move, and the Dolphins got a lot of talent back, a lot of draft capital back.
Christian in the house. Good evening, Ashley and Lou, aka 305 Sports Babe. Everyone hit the like button and subscribe. Support 305 Sports Babe. Let's go. I appreciate that so much. Thank you, Christian. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Russ said, don't ever trust the process.
Bad choice of words.
Christian also said this is a rebuild. So pretty much everybody, I don't think anybody didn't say it's a tank, that it is a rebuild. And we don't know how long the rebuild takes, but we'll see.
And Adam mentions it. I like the term reset better than the rebuild. We're just starting over, and you got to rip the Band-Aid off, and you got to do what you have to in order to change the culture down here, change everything that's been happening, because nothing has been working. We're going on our 26th year without a playoff win. Not an appearance, a win. And so that needs to change.
So Johnny thinks it's going to take 2 years to rebuild this. Sheldon says we're second in the league behind Saints on dead cap money for players. That's not on our team this season. You're right. It's not on our team. That's
Sheldon, you're right. That's tough.
I know Adam mentioned this before, and let's just pull it up, right? Numbers don't lie. So the Miami Dolphins' dead money for this season is now over $175 million. Guys, that is crazy. Obviously, the biggest hit that we're taking is because of Tua, which is $50+ million. I think it's closer actually to $99 million. Tyreek, Jaylen Waddle, Jalen Ramsey, the list goes on.
Yeah, those are the names everybody knows. But I want to highlight some names here that you're looking at here, like Nick Westbrook-Akine. That was a horrible signing. He never did anything at all while he was here.
Robert Cannon in the house. Hi, Robert. Good to see you. Go ahead.
Yep. Mohamed Kamara, he never made it. Cam Smith, horrible draft pick. So, there's some guys here that, never even had a shot, You're
losing your voice. I'll take up from here.
Yep.
So, again, Jaylen Waddle, we found out. The Dolphins did a wonderful post. Actually, I think they did a nicer post for him than Tua, just saying. Thank you, Jaylen Waddle, with some of his stats here. And Jaylen Waddle will be taking his talents, his Penguin skills to Denver. Another one that we kind of heard rumored was Devon Achane, right? And everyone was like, Waddle first, Devon is going to be next. And Dolphins squished that. They said no. They heard the offers, and they said it's not happening. So as of right now, let's hope they stick to their word that Devon Achane will remain a Miami Dolphin, because I feel like you can build so much around him. And usually you think you build around the quarterback. But with his talents, I feel that, maybe we could build our offense around his run game.
Yeah, I would not move Devon Achane at all.
Okay.
I would keep him here. I would actually extend him, and then I would try to franchise tag him when we're ready to win.
So John mentioned Devon could be a draft day trade. So I'm glad you like led that perfectly for me. Like you could have been a TV producer. So let's talk about the draft. As we know, the draft will be held in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania this year. We were just there in December. And this is what we're working with. So the Dolphins right now, and of course this is fluid. Dolphins could do some moves to change this. Dolphins 2026 draft picks. In the first round, we have 2 draft picks, right? We have the number 11 and the number 30. Second round, we only have 1 at the number 43 spot, but the third round's interesting. We have 4 draft picks in the third round, 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th, nothing in the 6th, and 2 in the 7th. So we do have a lot of opportunity to draft heavy in this 2026 draft, and I'm curious to see how John Eric Sullivan and team end up filling those spots.
Yeah, no, and he did a great job, obviously, in Green Bay. Green Bay is a perennial playoff contender, always winning their division or finishing second and getting a wild card. So they know what they're doing. He comes from a system that they were consistent and knew what they were doing. And you see here, I want to highlight the 3.
Of course.
The
4 threes.
The 4 third round, 4 picks in the third round. He's going to be busy. He's going to be going up and down that podium back and forth to select big players.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a very, very interesting draft. Raiders still have the number 1 spot, right? You're passing the throw to me, right?
Yes.
Raiders are still the number 1.
The Raiders still number 1, and obviously Mendoza's going to go there. But look, the trade with Waddle, again, to get back number 1 pick, first round, to get back a third rounder, and then the 4th round pick swap is a big deal. I mean, Waddle, look, he's not a number 1 receiver. He was drafted only a couple more spots ahead of Jamar Chase, and you see the kind of career Jamar Chase has had so far. Look, no knock against Waddle. I love him. He was a great player for us, but I think you got max return for him in terms of what you were going to get with him on the field. And he wasn't really a true number 1. The fact that we were able to get a first and a third, I think, is a huge deal. And I'm glad he didn't go to Buffalo, by the way, because they were rumored to have had an interest in it as well. So
Adam said they're all going to hit the field as rookies because all that dead cap money. And then Johnny says, we need 5 or 6 solid picks in this draft that are going to be on the team for years. You need essentially franchise players. You can't have, those players who are here for a year or 2, injured just doesn't work out. Johnny, you said it best. 5 or 6 good people that are going to be vested as Dolphins are going to work out and develop into their positions and be good.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, we are going to need some of these guys that Greer did pick, Zeke Biggers, and then specifically in the first round, getting Savaniah in the third round, who came on strong, but going to Kenneth Grant in the first round, he didn't really
drink your water. You're losing your voice here. And you'll upset.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. We need to do good in the draft this year. Is what Lewis is trying to say. You need to be good in the draft.
Grant's got to step up. Some of Greer's picks need
Christian
to step up.
says with the first pick at 11, we could trade back and pick up a couple more picks. The drafts are funny. It's always, we watch the draft. We've gone to many draft parties, and they'll say, okay, Dolphins are on the clock. And then you'll hear that noise, whatever it is, right? And you're like, what the heck? And then you find out there was like a swap. So draft day, it keeps you on your toes. Very interesting to see how first-year GM as a Dolphin, John Eric Sullivan, plays this draft out and see what he can do.
No doubt.
All right, so enough of the Dolphin talk. Guys, let me tell you, before we get into this, I've always said that October is my favorite month for sports, right? You have the World Series, college basketball starting, hockey starting, football in the heart of it. I think I want to eat my words because March has been extraordinary. And it's probably a lot to do with the World Baseball Classic. But March Madness, I know that it is like a whole thing for you. With St. John's being really good the last 2 years, it has sucked me in even more. So without further ado, let's talk some March Madness, guys.
I thought you were going to play a song.
I know, and I should have because I set that up so nice. All right, so the 4 number 1 teams going into this, I want to put this up, another little poll right here. You have Duke, Arizona. Here, start and show. Let me do this here. All right. Last year, right, it was all 4 number 1 teams.
You see that those up?
They can, yeah. Okay. So last year in the Final Four, it was pretty boring because it was predictable, and it was the 4 number 1 ranked teams in the nation going into the Final Four. So kind of keeping up with that theme, I put the 4 number 1 teams, Duke, Arizona, Florida Gators, and Michigan here. And I'm curious to know right off the bat, do you guys think it's going to be another number 1 team winning the Natty this year? So if you think, don't give me another team yet, but if you think that either Duke, Arizona, Florida, or Michigan is going to win the Natty this year? Go ahead and drop it in the chat. Curious to know what you guys think about that.
Can't really see it here. Nobody comes out there. But
Okay, so I'm sorry if you guys can't see it, but just putting the 4 number 1 teams. Again, you have Michigan.
we'll ask for the picks later. Let's go to the
Duke,
bracket.
Michigan, Arizona, Florida, right? Okay, so I'll put this away then. Perfect, I'll stop. All right, hold on. We got somebody who said this. Florida wins. Robert Tracy says Florida right off the bat. And John said it's rare it happens. Do you not want to?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
So it's rare it happens. It won't happen again this year. And then Miami Mike, you're a man after Lou's heart. You want Arizona to win it all. So does Lou.
Don't jinx us. Don't jinx us.
Lou loves his Arizona. All right, so let's get into it. Do you want me to bring out the bracket?
Yeah, show the bracket so everybody can see it. I'm sure right now you've seen it. This is like
you guys have filled out your bracket.
This is a tradition.
Going on.
Everybody does this. Everybody, whether you want to admit it or not, when that bracket comes out on Selection Sunday, everybody gets the bracket and they pretty much look at who's there. Everybody gets involved. Whether you've been watching a second of college basketball or you've been watching all year, everybody fills one of these suckers out. And it's a tradition at this point.
It is. So Selection Sunday was last Sunday. We love it. You knew that.
Is it?
Okay, sure.
I can't see if they can see it or not.
You guys can see this. I mean, I know you can, but here. You can see it.
Okay. All right, cool.
Okay. So here, let me pull it up again. Okay. There you go. All right. So let's start in the East. You want to give my picks or how do you want to do this?
Well, no, just we're going to go by each one, see what stands out to you.
All right, Duke, Siena. You'd love to see Siena.
No, that's not going to happen. But
yeah.
Go to the next one.
Okay, Ohio State, TCU. Ohio State. How do you want to do this?
No, not everyone. Just go to the next one. So there.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to just be able to go past St. John's. I need to talk about St. John's.
Go for it.
St. John's number 5, which is robbery, which is disgusting, which is ridiculous. Whoever put us in going to San Diego, it's disgusting. We just won back-to-back Big East champions, back-to-back Big East titles against UConn, and you're going to go put us in San Diego? I hope.
There she goes.
Sorry. It's not fair what you guys did to the Johnnies, whether it's something personal against Rick Pitino, whether it's you're so far up Dan Hurley's, you know what? But what the selection committee did to St. John's is diabolical, and I can't wait till we beat Duke in Washington, D.C. next weekend. Okay? So needless to say, Northern Iowa, I am so sorry. I'm sure you're wonderful people, but we're going to take –
That program is actually upset. I'm not saying you're an upset alert, but Northern Iowa has had a big upset in the tournament. But I'm with you. St. John's.
Go off, Ashley. They're all laughing at me now. Guys, let me get it out of my system, please. I appreciate it, but
St. John's definitely got
Johnny, don't hate on my UConn team. I don't hate on the team. What is it? Don't hate the player, hate the team. I don't hate the team. Dan Hurley doesn't do it for me. All right. So, again.
So going down.
Yes. And then, Canada should destroy.
Just go down so we can cover over that a little bit there. So this is an interesting one. Louisville, South Florida. That should be a big matchup. South Florida. Louisville is actually missing one of their players, so we'll see how that shakes up. And then in the bottom there, you see some, traditionally rich programs of Michigan State, UCLA, and UConn, all that have won multiple national championships. So, very blue blood-ish in this part of the bracket. I
can definitely see an upset coming here with UCF defeating UCLA number 7. We saw UCF a few weeks ago against your Arizona Wildcats. They're a great program. They gave you guys a little trouble in the beginning. So if there's going to be an upset,
is a good team, and it's a good fan base down there. So going down to the next part.
All right, to the south, the Gators.
Robert mentioned that he likes the Gators to win.
Does.
They are, of course, the defending champion, so we'll see. You got a very interesting 9-8 matchup in Iowa and Clemson. That's always 9-8 is always a competitive game. And then going a little further there, Nebraska.
Well, McNeese, I was going to say before we skip that, we were fortunate to see them last year in Providence.
Yeah,
a fun fan base. Could do a little shocking there. Don't sleep on them.
12 versus 5 could always be. You look at Nebraska there as a 4th seed. Nebraska is a football school. They are never amongst the highly ranked basketball teams, but this year they are. So interesting to see what they could do. North Carolina, obviously a blue blood. VCU, who made a run to the Final Four several years ago. So you can't count them out in that matchup. And then Houston is a big deal here. Houston plays in the tough Big 12 where Arizona's at as well. So interesting to see what Houston will do.
And then you got Richmond Webb's Texas A&M Aggies against St. Mary's. I could see that as an upset just for Richmond's sake.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go to the West. Arizona, LIU. LIU, such a beautiful story. A New York school, has really no business being there. I think enrollment's under 2,000. Lou, I mean, Arizona's going to give it to them, but let the guys from LA have a little fun with that.
Yep.
All right.
And then you got Villanova, Utah State. I'm looking forward to that game. Arkansas won the SEC tournament. They had a big run last year to the Sweet 16, so that's a team to watch out for.
I hope Arkansas doesn't win, because I'll just remind you guys, last year they were the team that knocked out St. John's. So Arkansas, I hope you do not win.
Gonzaga is there again. They are the third-ranked seed in the West, and Gonzaga is always a factor. They're that little school also that plays in the mid-major conference, but they're always there at the end, so don't discount Gonzaga.
This is really bad for the Canes. Canes come in as a number 7 seed against Missouri. First of all, the game's at 10:10 p.m., which is ridiculously late. Missouri, okay, beatable, but the game is in St. Louis. Talk about home court advantage. We know us Canes travel, they'll be there, but guys, home court advantage at 10 o'clock p.m., Canes, shake them, man. Shake them, shake them, shake them.
Yeah, and look, Jay Lucas has done a tremendous job this year. 25-8 on the Hurricanes, 13-5 in ACC play. The ACC, one of the best conferences in basketball. They got 4 players in double digits. Malik Renew, you got Donaldson, Henderson, Washington, all in double digits for the Hurricanes, so that's a big deal. Mizzou Tigers, they started off 8-0, and then they've gone just 10-12 the rest of the way. Or sorry, 12-12, 500 the rest of the way. 10-8 in the SEC. So we'll see. But yes, they're playing 2 hours away from their campus.
Right there.
And Miami's playing a game at 10 at night. So that could have some factors, but hopefully the Hurricanes can survive and move on to get a likely matchup against Purdue.
Last one here, Queens College against Purdue. Do you know where Queens College is? You know.
New York?
No, see, you're wrong. Queens College is actually in North Carolina. I knew to get that. Okay. First time this school is making a trip to the NCAA March Madness, and unfortunately the school is going to be merged with Elon University. Oh. So the school is not going to be in existence much longer as Queens College, so Queens, give them heck.
There you go.
All right. Michigan, Howard, Michigan. Wolverine should take care of business there, no problem. Georgia, St. Louis. This is an 8-9. These ones can go any way. Texas Tech and Akron. You could easily see an upset there as well.
And the Alabama is a big story because their second leading scorer was arrested and will not be playing, needless to say, in this matchup versus Hofstra. So that's a game that a lot of people are eyeing. It could be an upset. And we'll wait to see if that happens.
Another one, Hofstra, Alabama. Do you know where Hofstra is?
That is in New York.
Yeah, where in New York?
I don't know, but it's in New York.
Okay, so it's in Long Island, New York. It's about an hour due east from St. John's University. So another New York school heading to March Madness against Alabama. You'd love to see it for Hofstra. However, I don't know if they can hold off Alabama.
Also want to highlight this next game, Tennessee, and then they're playing the winner of Miami, Ohio versus Southern Methodist University.
What a great season.
And Miami of Ohio and SMU will tip off in about an hour from now. The winner of that game will obviously advance to play Tennessee. Miami, Ohio went undefeated the whole regular season, the only team to do so, lost in their first round of the tournament, and they, are trying to still earn their way in with a win tonight. So that'll be interesting to see if they win tonight and are matched up against Tennessee in that second round.
And you got Kentucky, which always has a great program, and then Tennessee State, Iowa State. So then you're wondering with this. So guys, with all that information you just shared, all those antics, with all that craziness, what's your Final Four? And I know I posed the question a little bit ago. Do you guys see a number 1 seed end up, winning the Natty this year? And some of you said Florida, and obviously Arizona. So Chef Jew in the house. Hello, Chef of the Century.
Yep, Alejandro in the house. Hondo, what's going on? And yes, guys, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel.
He says UM will show up and dominate like they always do. FYI, they should have beaten Indiana in the Natty. Yes, and yes, and yes, and yes. We agree with all of that. Adam, being a good buddy that he is to you, also says Arizona. So let's start with Lou's prediction in the Final Four. Lou, this is who Lou has. He has in the East.
Can I say my
East, of course, yeah. Go ahead.
Yes. So in the East, I got Duke coming out. Sorry to your St. John's in advance. I do think
you can't be right.
I do think St. John's is going to have a whole lot of reason to prove everybody wrong and win that game in Washington should they meet. I just think Duke has a little bit too much. Also, Duke played in Washington just a couple weeks ago against Michigan and won that game there. So a little familiarity playing there in that arena before is why I give the edge to Duke. But St. John's is going to have a monster chip the size of the Empire State Building on their shoulder.
Thing you've said to me so long.
And I would not be surprised at all if St. John's ends up coming out of the East. But for now,
oh my gosh, I'll marry you again.
But for now, I'm going to say Duke, and I will say again, This is a very, very difficult portion of the bracket, maybe the most difficult. You also got Kansas in there. We mentioned Michigan State. You got Connecticut. You got UCLA. You got a lot of teams there that have good coaches that they've won before. So my pick is right now Duke out of the East. In the South, I'm going to go with Houston. I've seen Houston play plenty over the last couple of years.
You have.
Going against Arizona in the Big 12. They're battle-tested. They got a great coach in Kevin Sampson. I really believe that Houston, they do it on the offensive side of the basketball. They do it on the defensive side of the basketball. They fly up and down the court, so I'm picking Houston. In the West, come on. I got to pick my Arizona Wildcats. They've been watching them forever. They've only got one championship all the way back in 1997. And we are due another one, so hopefully they can come out of the West and prove me right. And then in the Midwest, my brother's not going to like that because this is Michigan's bracket. Michigan has had a dominant regular season, played in a very, very difficult Big Ten, and so Michigan's been awesome. But I'm going to actually say Virginia. And, I love what they did in the ACC championship game against Duke. They've got two huge players in the front court, and they can shoot. They can shoot the basketball. That's what I love about Virginia. To me, and my brother will not like this again, but I thought it would be Virginia or Iowa State. I love both those two teams. I think one of those will be the representative from the Midwest, but I'm going to go with Virginia.
Do you want to give your Do you want to give your
Yeah, I'm going to say
change tomorrow.
I'm going to say Arizona versus Duke in a rematch of 2001. Unfortunately, the Dukies won that one, so I'm going to say Arizona versus Duke. Arizona cuts down the nets this time in Indianapolis.
You said the Dukies. All right, let's switch to Ash's bracket. Ash's prediction, very different. No, just different than Lou's. All right, coming out of the East, the Johnnies, led by Rick Pitino, back-to-back Big East champs, back-to-back Big East titles. The daddy of UConn, St. John's University, coming out of the East. We're going to come out of the East by beating Duke. We're going to come out of the East by beating Kansas. Guys, we're coming after you, coming out of the East. I will see you next week in Washington, D.C. Johnny's coming out of the East. Everything else is irrelevant because even with that, those number one teams, Florida, Michigan, Arizona, you guys are going to be shocked by my underrated number 5 Johnny's team that should really be a 3 or 4, who is going to win the Natty this year. The 2026 national champions will be St. John's University. For Lou Carnesecca, Chris Mullen, for everybody in the past, this is the year that the Johnnies win it all.
Okay.
That's all I had to say.
No, but go on. Who else? You picked.
Okay, so who are we going to play? Yeah, Florida. Gators, a great program. Great program last year, defending champs. They're going to still do it again this year. Arizona, I do want to sleep in the house tonight, so I'm going to have to say Arizona. And then Michigan for my brother-in-law who loves his Wolverines.
So who do you got in the final?
So for the finals. The final. One final.
Right. You got St. John's versus who? Arizona or Michigan?
Mm-hmm. Arizona.
Wow.
So, guys, as you know, St. John's my alma mater. And Lou is the biggest Arizona fan. So I think this year, and when Lou and I go anywhere, we're on the same team, right? Literally, our teams line up. That's what makes us us. Our marriage is going to be put to the test.
Uh-oh, if that happens.
The first week of April on that Monday, because I see St. John's going against Arizona. And, you see those couples who, okay, the wife likes Florida State and the husband likes UM, or the Yankees and the Mets fan. Guys, this is bigger than this. You don't understand. Like, I don't know if I'm laughing or crying about thinking about it, but it will be like Taylor Swift, Bad Blood, if the final ends up being St. John's and Arizona. Fair to say?
It will. Well, look, I don't want to rub it in, but we do have a championship. St. John's yet does not, and
I forgot Adam likes UConn too.
And certainly UConn has plenty of championships. Going back from Jim Calhoun to Kevin Ollie to now Mr. Hurley in charge there. So, by the way, Dan Hurley's brother, Bobby Hurley, got the axe at Arizona State. So he is a hot name on the coaching block there for a program that needs a new head coach. So, but yeah, that's the way it is. You gotta.
I forgot Adam likes UConn.
You gotta win a title first. Shout out to Tim in the house.
Tim, yes.
Tim makes a great point. The underdogs and the Cinderella, which has been hampered a lot by NIL, but the underdog stories, the Cinderella stories, the teams that show up with no name on the back of their uniform and
Queens College
can't really doesn't have more than 2 assistant coaches because they can't afford it. Team doesn't have warm-up jackets, just pants. So that's what makes March special. The Cinderella school, the Cinderella stories, the underdogs that come up out of nowhere. And so we're going to wait for it to happen, hopefully this year.
So Adam wants live coverage. Adam, we plan on being in Tampa those days to see the Rays open day. And that's pretty much booked and settled. But real talk right now, if it ends up being St. John's in Arizona, I think we would be in Indianapolis, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well,
so if you want to switcheroo and take our Tampa spot, I think
we'll see.
I don't think that could be a TV game for us.
And Adam mentions that yes, Bobby was a better player, Dan a better coach. I'd love to see Bobby coach with a better, well-known program.
Of course.
Arizona State was always, in the lower end of the old Pac-12 and now the Big 12. So let's see where he ends up. Obviously, that whole family, starting with the dad, obviously Dan now and Bobby. Coaching savants, basketball savants, and so
Daniel Taylor says some families live in a house divided when supporting their favorite teams, and Adam said, "I don't care where you guys are, GoPros on your heads."
There you go.
Oh, guys! So, thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight on this rainy and cold night in Miami. And if it's rainy and cold here, I can just imagine how chilly and nasty it may be by you, because usually this is where it's warm, and if it's icky here, probably icky by you. Tonight, obviously, we spoke about the World Baseball Classic. Again, congratulations to Venezuela for being the 2026 World Baseball Classic champs. The only loss they had this whole series was against the Dominican Republic in a huge game. But then beyond that, they ended up winning it. We spoke about Jaylen Waddle, and now he's the Broncos and all this dead money the Dolphins have. And then we finished off with March Madness. So y'all shut up about weather. We're struggling down here. So, guys, thanks again for tuning in tonight on episode 140 of the SoFLo Sports Show. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope your brackets stay perfect. And if you want that to happen, make sure it's reflected St. John's on the East, unless it's going to be broken. Your bracket will get broken real quick.
Yeah, we'll see. But, enjoy the games coming up. Hope everybody had a nice St. Patrick's Day. Enjoy the rest of your week. Weekend ahead,
Sammy.
And we will be in touch, in future weeks ahead. There's always something to discuss. And with the Dolphins, it's a revolving news coverage leading up to the draft, so we shall see. But, guys, if you're watching this over on X or Twitter, please come on over to YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. We're looking forward to keeping this journey going and talking all things great in the world of South Florida sports and sports throughout this amazing country of ours that we keep
USA,
on.
Lou. USA.
That's right.
All right, guys. Take care. Good night. And go Johnnies.
Good night, guys.